Welcome to the Inspiration Contagion podcast, where we spread inspiration one story at a time. I am your host, Holly Jean Jackson. Each episode spotlights and interviews one transformational leader, their stories, and their advice for how you too can lead yourself and others through inspiration. If you are a visionary seeking to uplevel your leadership skills, then this is the podcast for you. I invite you today to spread inspiration like a contagion. Welcome to the Inspiration Contagion movement. Welcome to episode 13 of the Inspiration Contagion podcast. And today we are also filming live. My guest on the show today is Sharifah Hardie. She's a business consultant, author, influencer, and a talk show host, which I was recently on her roundtable talk show. It was super fun. I highly recommend it. Welcome, Sharifah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm honored.
Yeah, no, it was really fun to be on your show. So why not have it both ways, right? Winning.
Yes. I'm not used to this, though. I'm always the one asking the question. So this side makes me a little nervous.
Oh, well, don't be nervous. It's going to be really fun. It'll be relaxed. And yeah, so why don't you just start with the easy question of telling us a bit about yourself, your background, and what makes you amazing?
Yes, what makes me so amazing is I'm here to help people. I'm here to serve people. Ever since I built my first website in 1994, that has been my focus. When I built my website, other people wanted me to build their websites. When I started marketing my website, other people wanted me to start marketing their websites. So I spent the last 26 years building businesses, building companies. I'm a .com baby that has built a lot of companies from perks.com to almostgolf.com. One of the people who actually built the website for cheaptickets.com. Last company I worked for was American Express. So I use my history and my experience of working with companies to be able to help new entrepreneurs. That's one of the main reasons I wrote my book, Signs You Might Be an Entrepreneur, How to Discover the Entrepreneur in You. And so I always tell people, not only do I help businesses make money, I help businesses save money. So I'm someone you can talk to figure out, do I need this online? Do I need this on the web? Do I need this for my business? And I can usually tell you if there's anything with the www, whether you need it or not.
Ooh, I like that. And I also like the book title. So Sharifah, what are some of the signs that you are an entrepreneur for our listeners that are still in corporate track careers?
Mhm. Well, I'm going to answer that question, but I always start with what is not an entrepreneur before I take people to what is an entrepreneur. Because usually people come to me and they say, Sharifah, I know I'm an entrepreneur because I don't like to work. I don't like having a boss. I don't like listening to authority. And I'm like, that does not technically make you an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs usually work 22 hours out of the day, 18 hours, 24 hours. They never get off. They never sleep. So there's something that's driving them. That's what I always say. If you're an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, whatever your passion is, whatever your calling is, you couldn't stop it if you want to. Over the years, I've decided I don't want to be a business consultant. I want to go get a job, because nothing says I love you like direct deposit, right? But I could never stay there. I always had to go back to my passion, which was being an entrepreneur and helping people and serving people. So most importantly, when I look at one of the main signs you might be an entrepreneur is if it's something that's pushing you or pulling you to do some career or some passion, then it's really beyond you.
Yeah, I like that. And it is true. Like, I think you can find some balance and not necessarily work 18-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of work to building and scaling a business that's successful. And so it is important, I agree, to be deeply passionate and excited about what you're building. And if you're not, then it's going to be really challenging and really draining.
Yes, yes. You don't have to work 18 hours. But usually what I find with entrepreneurs is the work that they do, most people wouldn't consider it work. Like for me, my friends laugh because they say, Sharifah, you work an hour a day, like literally an hour a day. I show up at 8 o'clock in the morning. host the Roundtable Talk Show, which is my talk show, and it's from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And that's really the only thing that I have scheduled to do during that day. So they're like, you just do an hour and that's it. I'm like, but you have no idea what it takes to put together a 1 hour talk show. So I wind up working all day, whether it's emails, posted on social media, all of that is considered work, where some people may look at it and go, oh, you're just playing on social media, you're just playing on your phone. But it's like, no, it's not playing, because this is work.
Yeah. But I think the key, like you expressed, is that if you really love the cause, the passion, the change, the movement you're building as an entrepreneur, some of those things don't feel like work as much. So they're longer days, but you're just
Mhm.
so excited. Like, I mean, for me, doing the design work and speaking, like stuff like this, I actually enjoy it. I don't look at it as work. I'm like, wow, I'm growing as a human. This is amazing. I'm building connection and I'm building my tribe of business community leaders.
Mhm.
But I think it's important to find that flow of what that is.
I think there's a balance, because one of the things that I always tell new entrepreneurs is simply set business hours, right? So no matter what your business is, treat it like a business. One of my favorite expressions I tell people is, you have to ask yourself this question. When you're starting out, ask yourself this question: am I operating a business, or am I operating a hustle? Because those are two different things, and those are two different mindsets. And there is absolutely no judgment on that question. I'm not judging you, Holly. If you decide that you want to have a hustle, fine, have a hustle. But businesses operate in certain ways, in certain manners. So I recommend, especially if you're a solopreneur, that you set your business hours. My actual business hours are 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. And so that means any email, any business related text, any business related inbox, any tweet, any business related correspondence, I reserve the right to respond to it when I get back in the office, even though I'm physically in my office, because it's after business hours. And the reason I do that and I recommend that is because it's a mental thing. If you're always on, if you're always at work, then you're not really having the opportunity to enjoy life. So you want to at least say, I'm off at 6 p.m. And so then you can go have happy hour with your friends. You can go to your friend's birthday party. You can go watch a movie, because you are off work. And it makes it easier for you to enjoy life if you set some boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. I also like to make the distinguishing bit around building a business versus a job.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of new entrepreneurs that I work with, they will create what they say is a business, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really just a job, because they're not starting to scale it in a way that it's sustainable, so that if something happened to them, they wouldn't have any income.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you were saying, having the savings to balance things is really important, but also building and working on the business, not just in the business, is
Yes.
equally important, which is probably part of the difference between a hustle and a business.
Yes, it's part of the difference. But when you, exactly what you said, it's when you have a business, you focus on scalability. The number one reason to have any business is simply to create jobs. That's what the American economy needs. You need jobs. So, like, my father and I have this discussion all the time. I'm so proud of him. I love him. He's had his business, he's operated his business in California since 1985. And that's a long time. And I applaud him. I think that's wonderful. But I'm like, Dad, when are you going to scale your business? When are you going to expand your business? When are you going to hire people? You know, because my dad's retired now. He's not the same young man that started this business in 1985. So I'm like, the point of a business is to have an asset, to have something that you can pass on, that you can leave to your children. So I've been working with him to try to get him to scale. So sometimes we think we're in business, or we may believe that we're entrepreneur. But even as entrepreneurs, one of the things I like to get entrepreneurs to understand is that an entrepreneur is just one step. It's just the first step. You should go from being an entrepreneur to a business owner, so that you can create jobs and you can help the community and the world as a whole.
I love that. And on that note, what makes you an inspirational leader? Because I think that's probably part of your secret sauce.
Yes, it is. I think the reason people may consider me an inspirational leader is because I'm straight with no chaser. I don't do the politically correct. I don't do the, I'm here to just take your money. No. look at, send you reports that I'm doing. That's not what I'm here to do. I spend a lot of time talking and speaking and consulting with people so that even if they decide that they don't utilize my services, they will walk away learning something with some information. And 9 times out of 10, I'll give them some knowledge and information that they walk away and they're like, wow, I never would have seen it that way. I never would have thought about it that way. Like one of the prime example I always tell people is that a website is nothing more than an electronic business card. I have my business card right here. It's a Sharifah Hardie business card, exactly what it is. But how many business cards have you seen, Holly? Like probably a million. Everyone has a business card. But if I got a box of business cards and set those business cards on the shelf, what good would it do me? None.
Not much good. And right now with the pandemic, you don't even trade business cards. So it's even
Yes.
more important to have a website.
Yes, but what people do is they build this website, and some people spend tens of thousands of dollars on the most beautiful, most amazing website, and then don't give it to anybody, don't share it to anybody with anybody. Just like a paper business card, mine has the picture on it. It has, but what do you get from a business card? Most importantly, you get an email address, a website address, a contact phone number. Every business card basically has those elements. And so it's the same things with website. When a person comes to their website, what information do you want them to give you? How to contact you, what your products are, what your service is, who you are, what you do, and then get that electronic business out there, that electronic business card out there and circulating.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sharifah, it sounds like what part of what makes you inspirational is you're helping entrepreneurs build, dream bigger, scale, and you're reminding them the key components of business development, which is to get your message out there, whether it's your website, your business card, and how to use those tools so that they can share the work that they do.
I definitely agree, but I also think one of the things that makes me unique is that sometimes people just need someone else to believe in their dreams. Entrepreneurs are usually, they say there's a fine line between genius and insanity. And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs walk that fine line. And the reason that is because they can see something that hasn't become tangible. It's something that they see in their mind's eye and their dreams and their vision. And they go to people and they say, you know what, I want to build this business and I want to be the top manufacturer. I want to make the best shoes, or the world really needs new water bottles, whatever it is. And people around them say, you know what, you didn't even graduate high school. Like, how are you going to start a business? Or, you're a single mom. Nobody's going to buy from you. And the world gives us all of these different things to hold us down. And I'm that person. It may not be the one person, because I know you do it as well, but I am that person who says, you know what, no matter what your business is, your dream is, your focus, your product, your service, you can do it. Because I feel that that dream and that inspiration was given to you for a reason, and it would be unfair to give you a dream or a passion that there was no way to fulfill. So if nobody else is there to help you and to believe in you, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point for leadership, and especially in the consulting and coaching world, is when you're a new entrepreneur or you're pivoting to a new space in your business, it's really vulnerable. And so sharing that aspiration or that dream, it's really important to have people that are in your corner, they're believing in you. And since you're also straight with a chaser, like you said earlier, I'm sure you're also telling them, hey, here's some of the holes in what you're doing. Here's what we need to fix with the strategy. But I believe in you and we're going to make this work. So I think that's really, really beautiful and so, so important.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Sharifah, what does inspiration mean to you?
I think inspiration to me is finding an idea or finding a belief system that you utilize to move you forward. To me, inspiration is an action. If I'm inspired, then I have to take an action. If I'm inspired to build a business, then I take the action to go and start that business. So I like to be that fire that starts an idea in everyone. So to me, the inspiration is to get people to believe in themselves, to believe in their dreams, and to take an action to make that dream come to life. Because over the last 20 something years, almost 30 years, one of the things that I've learned is I used to go into this with the belief that everybody is willing to change their lives. I speak to people and they will say, Sharifah, you know what? I hate my boss. I hate my coworkers. I hate my commute. I hate my health benefits. I hate my pay. And they give me this list of hate. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to inspire you. We're going to change the world and build. Some of those people are still at those jobs to this day. And that was 26 years, so we don't always take the action. So I want to inspire people and say, you know what? Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can build that, and take them through the steps required. So I always give them the steps. You do these steps and then come back to me. And usually what happens is those people come back to me and they go, Sharifah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, did you do step one? No, because I'm not sure. Okay, we'll do step one and then come back to me. So the inspiration is there. I love to inspire people, but I inspire them to take the next step, to take the action required to build the business of their dreams.
Yeah, it is really true that not everybody is ready to take that action. And I like to say all the time, without action, nothing changes.
Yes.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and not breaking that cyclical pattern. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like you said, those people complaining about that career, sadly, sometimes they just can't access that inspiration and that confidence. So it's great to have coaches and consultants out there that help them do that so that they can move forward.
Yes.
So, Sharifah, how do you define success for yourself and how did you arrive at that definition?
To me, the success isn't a dollar amount. When I first built my website in 1994, people called me lazy. They said I was lazy because I didn't want to go and get a job. I didn't want a 9 to 5 because remember, it's 1994. Working from home, working remotely, working virtually was unheard of. And so fast forward, not to 2020, but let's go to 2019. You look at most corporations or most companies, and most people don't realize it, usually their executive staff work remotely, work virtually. They didn't come into the office. Why? Because they're executives. It's only certain level of employees that they make sure you're in the office, you're on your time card, you're doing what you need to do. But the people they consider creatives or the people who actually operated the company, usually they were in their home office. So for me, the one thing that I always wanted is to be able to work at home. I'm a recluse. I don't like going out. I love being at home. And so when I decided I was successful, for me was just knowing that I didn't have to go back to a corporate job. I didn't have to leave my home. I can work from home and be successful, enjoy my life without saying, okay, well, let me go have to get this job. I think that for me was success.
I like that. Yeah, I've noticed that in all of the interviews I'm doing, nobody's defined it with money, right? I mean, obviously we need money to survive, but ultimately their definition of success, they vary, but they've
Mhm.
actually defined it for themselves. And I agree, like I did a long commute for 3.5 years. I
Mhm.
commuted from the East Bay in California to south of San Francisco. And for people that are in this area, that is a crazy commute
Mhm.
and I would never want to do that again. So I love that. I like that you've built that for yourself and you debunked the myth that it's lazy to work from home. And I think we all know now in 2020, like you said, it's an exception
Mhm.
that things are going to look different after this, I believe.
But I think the main reason was, and why I understand people calling me lazy, is because, again, it goes back to my point about crazy and that fine line. Is because I understood that what I wanted to do was unheard of. It was something that nobody could conceive because nobody had computers. When I built my website, 99% of the world did not have a computer in their home. You had to go to work. You had to go because if you needed a copier, if you needed a fax machine, if you needed a computer, a printer, you had to be in the office. But now, how many people have home offices with computers and printers? And you can go to any store and get you a 3-in-1 printer for about $150. Those things used to cost you thousands of dollars. If you wanted a printer, it was going to be huge and it was going to be about $1,500. So the average person didn't have one. So sometimes you have to wait for the world to change to understand the vision that you have been given. And that's really what happened to me. So I understood that I was ahead of my time, but I didn't understand then how ahead of my time I was. And if I'd have known then, I'd have bought a whole bunch of one word domains. That's my biggest regret. Like, I'd have bought all the one word domains for like $5 each and then sell it back to people. But that's just me.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, like that story just reminds me of how much the internet world and the world in general has changed. And I agree. There's some people that you work with and you're like, wow, like we understand their vision as visionaries, but I think it's something like 5% or less of the world are visionaries. It might even
Mhm.
be less. And
Yes,
so it's really hard to know and understand that. And the rest of the world, when we share those ideas, they're like, you are insane.
yes. You're going to quit your job and you're going to be at home and you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to leave. How are you going to eat? Well, I'm going to get money through the internet. How can you get money through the internet? There's no way possible for you to get money through. I'm like, you know what? There's PayPal. There's all these options. But it was literally unheard of.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So, given that it was unheard of, it sounds a little challenging.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges or obstacles that you faced on the pathway to success in your business?
I have a long laundry list of them. We don't even have the time in the day to go through the challenges, but I'll give you the main one is one of the reasons why entrepreneurs really struggle and they really suffer is that it's very difficult to make the transition from being an employee to entrepreneur. And too often what people do is they quit their day job. And everybody always says, don't quit your day job, but they quit their day job out of frustration or wanting to move forward, and then they don't have enough income to be able to supplement their business. And I always tell people, if you are employed, please stay employed as long as you possibly can, because you want to be able to utilize those resources to build your business. It's very difficult to utilize resources to build a business when you need those same resources to live on. So those resources are not going to the business. They're going towards your rent. They're going towards your mortgage. They may be going to your car note, to your cell phone, and you don't have enough resources for the business. So I always recommend that people try to put away a little bit, put away something so that you're not doing what I consider a Hail Mary pass. And a Hail Mary pass to me is when someone's like, okay, it's July 1st. I'm going to start my business. I'm going to make $1 million, because if not, I only have enough to get through the end of July. And I'm like, that's not really the time to start a business, because then what happens is you don't have enough money to make mistakes. And I'm going to say that again. You have to have enough money to make mistakes, because every business makes mistakes. Every corporation, from the smallest to the largest. Large corporations understand that they're going to make mistakes. They're going to launch a marketing campaign that doesn't make any sales, but that campaign is not going to bankrupt the business, because they have enough in their war chest or in their marketing budget to try different things. When we only have enough for 1 month or 2 months, everything has to work. Everything has to have to be perfect. And usually that's not what happens in business. Something unexpected comes up. We can calculate it. We can do the best business plan, the best, strategies, but there's some expense that's going to come up that they weren't expected. So have enough in reserve so that you can operate for, I would say, at least 2 years. Now, the SBA says it's 2 years. If you go to like Harvard School of Thumb says 5 years, but operate between 2 or 5 years without making one sale. Hear me when I say you do not want to operate on your profits for the first few years. You want to be able to learn your business, learn your customers, learn your marketing strategy, learn your brand, learn if your logo is attracting people or turning people away. So you have to have enough money to be able to learn from your mistakes.
I completely agree. I cannot describe to you how many potential client calls that I've had where they already quit their job and they're
Mhm,
like, oh, I have to make this work. And they have
mhm.
no budget.
Yes.
I'm like, is it possible for you to get your job back? Because it really does. It takes time. It's not magic. It's not like it
Mhm,
just magically happens overnight. Otherwise, everybody would have their own business. So
mhm,
I agree with everything you're sharing, that it takes that 2 to 5 year runway. And
mhm,
that if you can find what I ended up doing was asking my network, because I was very employable in the tech space and I wanted to find part-time but really well-paid consulting opportunities so that I had time to work on my business part-time.
mhm,
And I was able to find those. And so
mhm,
I think getting creative, but stay employed, find the new opportunity that gives you the runway. And I look at that as like my investors into my
mhm.
business. And then keep working on the business on the side until you learn those lessons, you experience those failures, and you refine them to find what works. Love
Yes.
that. Cool. So, what is one story of inspiration that you're known for?
I would say my layoffs. That's what I'm known for. Anybody who's read my story, I always talk about I had an argument with God. When people are like, you had an argument with God? Yes. God and I were having this argument where God told me, I want you to help people. And I said, I don't. I want to go and get a job. And so I would get a job. 6 months to the day I got the job, I would get laid off. And God would say, I want you to help you. And I would say, no, I'm going to get this job. 6 months to the day, I was laid off. And so this happened 8 times. And so I tell people I was laid off 8 times. I've been divorced twice. I've raised 2 kids. I've lost everything I own aside from the clothes on my back. Lost everything. Been homeless. Turn that story around. And I know that I went through all of that. So I can talk to anyone and say, if I've gone through this, then you can go through that and still be successful. So I tell everyone, I don't care what your story is. I don't care if you're dying from some disease, you still can focus and build your life and build your business, because I've seen people do it. I've seen one lady that I know was basically told that she had a couple of months to live. She had cancer, beat cancer, and now has a thriving business. So whatever your story is, whether you were sexually abused, financially, whatever it was, you can still be successful, because I've gone through so much, and I allow my story to inspire people because of the challenges that I had.
I love that. And I think we have a lot in common. My layoffs weren't 6 months to the mark, but I had like so many recurring layoffs, and they would always be coupled with some new health challenge or a
Mhm.
new health diagnosis. And I was like, okay, similar to you, I was like, God, universe, pattern, what is happening here? Like, what's up? I thought I learned that lesson, and I kept not hearing it. And one of my accidents was a concussion. I decided that I was so hard headed that I had
Mhm.
to fall on my face to like
Yes.
wake up and realize that, hey, there's a pattern here. So,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I love that story. And wow, 6 months to the day, and it sounds like you had a lot of other challenges. So that's an amazing and such an inspiring story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was 6 months to the day on a couple of them, but it was just like you. I had to keep going through it, because each time, like I said from the beginning, God was like, I want you to help people. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm like, God, have you met these people? Like, these people don't even want help. Like, they don't even want the help I'm trying to give them. But after a while, I had to get to the point where I said, I hear and I obey. You know what I mean? And once I began to say, okay, I'm here on this earth to help people, then I began to see more and more opportunities arise. I began to see more and more doors open. I began to receive speaking opportunities where people were inspired by my story and by sharing my story. And so I'm here to be of service. And that's how it shows up as a business consultant.
Mm. Yeah, and it's amazing once you kind of have that epiphany and you dive into it, it does kind of just organically open these doors that seem almost magical. So,
Mhm. It is magical, but it's funny because I always tell people I do marketing, not magic. So again, that comes back to having enough in your budget or having enough time to be able to build your business, because too often people just think that success is one marketing campaign. Like, I create this marketing campaign and then I'm a millionaire. No, it's marketing campaign after marketing campaign after marketing campaign. It's tweaking your story. Everything starts from a story. Helped take a company public. We raised about $6 million in the IPO. And that's one of the things that I truly learned is that everything's a story. Nothing's a product. Nothing's a service. It's a story, because people buy from people. They buy because you have affected them some way emotionally. And even if it is financial, to where a company says, well, you save more money. We have the best price. Doesn't it feel good to you to have someone say, I'm giving you this price because I want you to have a low cost and I don't want you to pay out of pocket? That's still emotional. And so if anyone has a product or a service or business, I always tell them, what is your story? You know what I mean? You have to put the story out there in order for people to respond to you.
Yeah, no, that's, by the way, for people listening, that is a ninja marketing tip. Every single marketing item you put out there, email, social media, any marketing campaign needs to have a story.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's not connecting at that human to human, heart-centered, empathetic place. And that's really, like you just said, where people buy from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Sharifah, in your intake form, you identified as a heart-centered leader. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
ask you a few questions around that.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, what does heart-centered leadership mean to you?
Well, I love words. I love semantics. I love discussing words. It's like one of my favorite passions. So to me, heart-centered means that everything that you do is led from your heart. You know, God is love. That's what I believe. And so love is in our hearts. When we're dealing with people, we have to be fair. We have to be equitable with people. We don't want to price gouge. We don't want to just offer them services that they don't actually need. So compassion, just caring for people and utilizing your heart to be able to help more people. I have a new sales class and I'm doing learning how to love sales. But the main tool that I even start with is how you see your business, right? Do you see it as a business? Are you trying to sell people, or are you trying to be of service to people? And once you understand that you're being of service, because every product, every business has to solve some problem, right? So you use your heart to be able to solve these problems, not your intellect, not your pocketbook, but your heart. And I think that as leaders, that's what we need more of, to people to be conscious of their heart and their feelings for other people.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I know a lot of new business owners or entrepreneurs struggle with that sales conversation. And I think it's just like what you just shared is they're trying to sell
Mhm.
versus really understanding from their heart the value of the service that they are providing around a specific problem that the person they're offering that service to actually has. So
Yes.
that's beautiful.
But if you had a problem, Holly, and I had the information and the knowledge to solve your problem, I would want to call you and say, Holly, I know you're suffering with this. This is what I can do for you because you're my friend. I like you. You're a wonderful person. Let me help you. That's a heart space. It's here to solve a problem, as opposed to saying, yeah, I know Holly has a problem. She's suffering with this. I have the solution to her, but I'm not going to give it to her. So that wouldn't be right. So we have to look at our products and our services the same way, that I have a solution that can help you. So let me give you the solution. If I had a solution, why wouldn't I want to give it to you? Right? But I'm not thinking, oh, I got to sell this to you, even though I do make a profit, but I'm helping you. I'm helping you solve the problem that you have.
Yes, and that is a huge mind shift for people. So I hope that people are really listening to that, repeat that until it really sinks in. Because once you shift your mindset to what she just described, it's going to open a lot more doors for you in your business.
But this wasn't only just me. Let me just say this real quick. I know you have other questions and I just tend to ramble. But this one of the things that helped me and changed my mindset, because it wasn't just, easy, and it definitely wasn't just me, but I read this ebook, and the ebook was called The Science of Getting Rich. It's still on the internet. If you want to Google it, you should be able to find it. But it was called The Science of Getting Rich. And so at the time, the person who was promoting this book, they had a seminar. So I go to the seminar and they asked this question. The question was, What do you want? And so they asked different people, and each person said, I want $1 million. I want $500,000. Oh, I need $5 trillion, whatever the numbers were. So they asked the people, they said, okay, well, what do you want this money for? So the person said, you know what? I want to retire. Another person said, I want to travel around the world. Another person said, I want to build a business. Another person said, I want to send my kids through college. And so the person said, then what you want is to travel the world. What you want is to send your kids to college. What you want is to start your business. What you want is to retire. The money is the how, right? So we don't focus on the how. And I believe, and it says in the Science of Getting Rich, that that God is responsible for the how. And so often we try to control the how. It's not our job to control the how. It's our job to focus on what we want. And if we focus and we're clear on what we want, God, the universe, whatever we decide to call it, is going to bring it to us. And so that shifted my mindset to focus on, well, Sharifah, what do you want? And that's what I've been focusing on since I read that.
I like that a lot. And I actually recently read Dave Asprey's book, Game Changers, and he mentions it kind of similar but different, where he says, if you're so focused on money, money will not flow to you. But if you're focused on enjoying the journey of the services and the things you're providing, it will start flowing freely. So I
Yes.
love that. That's amazing advice. So Sharifah, at what age did you start believing in yourself?
That's a difficult question because I don't believe there was any point in time that I didn't believe in myself. I'm spoiled. I tell everybody that I'm very spoiled. I'm not selfish though. And there's a difference between being spoiled and being selfish. And so being a middle child, I always got what I want. I always believed in myself. I always went to magnet schools, and I had a lot of support around people who said, Sharifah, one day you're going to be great, so I can, it's really just been all my life. And I say
But
that
yeah.
with all the humbleness possible, but I've always believed in myself because I had a voice, you know what I mean? And I would always talk and say what I thought. I was never afraid to speak up or to state my opinion.
Yeah, and it's really wonderful that you were raised in that space where you had that support, so it was easier for you to access that belief and hold on to it. I think a lot of times what happens is people might not have that spoiled or, but like you said, in a humble way situation, and so it's harder for them to hold on to their voice, which is unfortunate.
Yes, because also this is one of the discussions I have is my parents' generation, they believed in the whole children are to be seen and not heard. And I believe that if you take away a child's voice, especially a woman's child, you take away their right to say no. You take away their right to say boundaries. So what I did with my children is I always told them, you can say anything you want to me. You cannot say it any way that you want. You still have to be respectful, but I want you to speak up. And so when I was raised, even though they had this kind of feeling, and it's one of the discussions I have all the time, is, my father was in the house. I have both parents in my house. My parents are still together to this day. They do everything together. And so in my life, whenever I wanted something, my parents, to a certain extent, always gave it to me. So that means that they reinforced in me the same thing that God and the universe has reinforced in me, is that all my needs are met. I've never been like, oh my God, like, are my parents going to give me this? No, but I don't say that to brag or anything, because I have an older brother who he always got what he wanted. And then I have a baby sister who asks for everything. And I hardly ever ask for anything. So when I ask for something, my parents like, well, Sharifah never asked. Let me give it to her. So my mind always knew that if I wanted something, I was going to get it.
Yeah, that's a really important mindset too. So Sharifah, can you share with us how you show belief in others as a leader? You've spoken a little bit to this, but maybe a little bit more.
The way I show belief in others is just being their cheerleader. I think that's sometimes the most important thing. People come to me for consultations. They come to me as marketing clients, PR clients, a wide array of things, but just to show them that your idea is possible. Even with my kids, when my son first graduated high school, he said, Mom, I want to be a lawyer, but I don't know if I can. And I said to him, I said, okay, well, we're going to do a little experiment. Let's go to Google and Google how many lawyers there are in the United States. And then let's Google how many lawyers there are in California. So if they can, why can't you? You know, so we often build it up to believe that anything is above us. Like we can't be a lawyer or a doctor or a business owner, a CEO. There's something in our mindset that says, I don't know if I can. So I teach people to believe in themselves by simply asking the question, why can't you? If you go to Google, if you go anywhere and you Google, someone has done it before, why can't you? Why don't you have the ability to do it? There's nothing stopping them. So what's stopping you? You've seen so many successful people and you read the stories of their lives and how they may have came from single family homes. They may have been born in poverty. They may have been born with diseases. There may have been so many things that affect them. So I tell people that if you're here on this earth, this is my whole criteria. If you can meet this one aspect, if you are here right now, alive, then you can do it. That's it. Somehow, some way, if there's a will, there's a way you can do it.
Wow, I think that's the best answer I've had to that question so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, I feel inspired and charged up and ready, and yes, I love it.
I saw it in
So
your body movements. You was like, yes.
so can you share one story that shows how you lead from the heart?
One story. I'm gonna need more than that. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, so you just said you ask those questions to people you work with. Is there maybe an example you could share about somebody who didn't have that belief and how you worked with them and they've been successful?
Let's go back to Punch TV Studios, and that's the company that we had the IPO with. And when we initially launched the IPO, there may have been people who had negative viewpoints about the company. One of the main reasons that people had negative viewpoints was the whole message was this was the first African American owned public company that they could buy stock in. And so people, it was new. It came from President Barack Obama's signing of Regulation A plus. And so what Regulation A plus did is change the Securities and Exchange Commission as far as the ability for people who were non-accredited investors to invest in the company. So because this was new, people were like, I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know if we're supposed to. And the CEO was kind of getting discouraged. And he was like, the people keep saying all this stuff and they keep saying that they don't know if it's legal and I don't know what to do. And I looked at him, I said, this is the one question I would ask all of these people. Where are all their networks? Where are all their companies? Where are their companies that they took public? It's so often that people sit behind a keyboard, they sit behind their phones and they knock what other people are doing. And I had to just really build him up and say, you are doing something that's right. You're doing something that's legal. And so you just have to believe in what you're doing. And so after, this conversation, he just shook everything off and went back at it in a positive way. Because what people don't understand is whenever you decide that you want to do something, sometimes your light is shining so bright that there are other people who will come in and try to dim your light. Like when people call me lazy, and the thing that I've learned and I've seen over time is that it's usually the people that we love the most, the people who love us the most, that are the people who are trying to dim their light and our light. And it's not because they hate us. It's so easy for people to say they're haters. It's that people believe that what they're doing is right. So they told me, they said, Sharifah, you have to get a job. If you don't get a job, then you're lazy. Like everybody has to go to work. And so they're like, we love you. We want you to be successful. You can't just stay at home. So that was one example of when I helped somebody believe in themselves. But just, I'm telling you right now, if nobody else believes in what you want to do, I'm here. I believe in you because it is possible. Millions of people have created businesses. Billions, trillions of people have created businesses. So if you believe in you, your dream, your product, or your service, I too am here to believe in you.
I really like that story. That was a good one.
Thank you.
So that's why I share with people that it's so important to create a tribe or a community around them of those people that are lifting you up,
Mhm.
and to have boundaries, healthy boundaries around, especially if it's loved ones that are not necessarily supportive, so that you can keep the vulnerability and the passion around what you're building and not let those naysayers
Mhm.
bring you down. Like you said, they their intention is generally right. Sometimes you'll meet people where their intention is just to
Mhm,
bring you down, and it's probably an ego thing.
mhm.
But it's really important to have that tribe of people that are supporting you and believing in you.
I think that's important because too often, like for instance, our parents. Maybe your parents, Holly, maybe they said, you know what, we don't want you to suffer like we suffer. I don't know if they suffered or not, but I'm just giving you an example. But they may say, I want you to be a doctor, right? Because if you're a doctor, then you're successful and you won't have to worry about your mortgage or your house or paying bills, or, you'll be educated and you won't have to go through all these things that we went through. So often is in our lives, because of what we experience, we try to help other people, prevent other people from going through those things. And so we say, you know what? Just be a doctor. No, no, no. Don't be an entrepreneur. Don't build that business, because you have to be a doctor, because as a doctor, you will be successful and problem free. And we all know people who have started jobs and careers for other people and they're not happy, but they did it for mom or dad, or because grandma's dying wish on her deathbed was to see her grandson be a pediatrician, but we have to follow our heart and do what's right for us, even though maybe nobody around us agrees with it. We just have to trust ourselves, but also understand that it's a journey. That's where a lot of people go wrong. This is not a sprint. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey. And I usually tell people that where you start off is not usually where you will wind up. I started off simply with website design. That was it, designing websites. I can design websites now, but I design maybe a website every couple of years. It's not my bread and butter. The majority of what I do is consulting. Now, 26 years ago, I would have never imagined that this little Black girl was going to be consulting people on raising capital and building their businesses. So just allow for the journey.
Yeah, I like that too, because what we start out doing on that journey grows into something and blossoms into something that we can't imagine today. I like to say we're planting those seeds and we're watering those seeds, we're putting sunshine on them, and then sometimes we're weeding out the garden for when it's not working out and that experiment failed, and it's like, okay, cool, what new plant do I want to put here that's going to work?
Mhm.
And it's building that garden that is really this beautiful journey that takes us to this place that it's even better than what we originally imagined, right?
Yes, or sometimes when we start a business, we believe or we think that we started it for one reason. You know what I mean? But too often, there's an aspect of what we're doing. Like for me, I give you an example. I'm a talk show host, so I love to talk. I used to say, oh, well, I just love being in business. But what area, what aspect of business? Was it a financial aspect? And I do marketing, I do SEO, I do all these different things, but I went to college to be an accountant. You know what I mean? It's like, you think you're going into it for one aspect and now you're a talk show host. So again, not to be repetitive, but just allow for the journey, allow for life to lead you till you find that one thing that you're like, oh, I really do love to talk. Let me talk to people. And sometimes it's that shift that is so simple, but it is just so rewarding.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, stay curious to what really lights you up. And I think it's also important when you start a business, there are aspects, especially the solopreneur, where you'll be like, oh, I really don't like doing that, but it's necessary, right? I think it's important to start documenting the things you don't enjoy so that you can outsource them when you
Mhm,
are scaled enough, but also really to hone in on the things that light you up the most and to find the one thing that you really love. Like you said, the talk show and talking is like your
mhm.
real passion, because
Yes,
then it opens so many more doors for you.
yes.
Great. So we're going to move into the lightning round questions.
Mhm.
So, Sharifah, what's your favorite book?
What's my favorite book? Let's see. I love The Alchemist. That's one of my favorite books. I love Think and Grow Rich. I love of the science of getting rich. So many different spiritual books I kind of focus on.
Yeah, I know it's a hard question to answer. Most people are the same. They're like, oh, all these, here's like five.
Yes,
I like The
yes,
Alchemist too. It's a really beautiful book.
yes.
What networking or community group do you love the most?
Ask Sharifah. Like everything I do, I always mention the Ask Sharifah community because I have, all of my social media. But once you're a part of my community or my network, I'm always trying to help you. That's what I'm known for. Like if anybody comes to me and they're like, I need this, I need to hire someone to do this, I need someone, I'm like, okay, well, let me put it out there to the Ask Sharifah community, because I always know, and I believe strongly in 6 degrees of separation. Some people will tell you it's 3. Some people will tell you it's more. But to a certain extent, we're all connected. So if you have a need, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's someone either within my network, or someone within the network, or someone within my network that can solve that problem for you.
I love that. That's great. I'm going to keep that in mind. Mental note is made. So when I get stuck, I'll contact you.
Ask Sharifah.
What's the best one piece of advice you would share with others today?
Don't give up.
Love it. And if you could share one message with the world, what would that be?
Believe in yourself.
I'm very succinct. Don't give up. Believe in yourself. I love it.
Amen. Yes. You got to go back to the basics. People always give you all this information, but just go back to the basics. If you have been given a passion, if you've been given a dream, I always tell people, if that's a desire in your heart, because to me, everything is spiritual. Everything comes back to my beliefs in God, not a particular religion, but just that belief that it would be unfair of God to give you a desire of the heart that there's no way to fulfill. So just because you haven't fulfilled it, don't give up, because if you got in, if there's a way in, there's a way out. So if you can dream it, there's a way to make it possible. That's what I like people to focus on. So don't give up and believe in yourself.
I like that. If you can dream it, there's a way to make it happen. That's amazing. And my last question, what's the legacy you wish to leave behind?
Generational wealth.
I like that.
That's where that money comes in, because it allows you, we do all of this not for the money, but the money is a result of everything that we're doing. And one of the things that has hindered many people, especially in the Black communities all over America, but especially in the Black community, is that we don't have generational wealth. And my focus is creating generational wealth that I can pass on for generations, so that by the time my great-grandkids or grandkids graduate high school, the only question they have to ask themselves is what they want to major in, not how they're going to pay for college. Those are 2 different questions. And just having the resources to explore life. I want them to go travel the world and find themselves and figure things out. Maybe today they do want to be a doctor. Tomorrow they may want to be a journalist. But I don't want them to have to worry about the resources required to figure out who they are and what they want to do.
Yeah, the world overall would be a better place if we weren't so consumed with the financial aspect or the resourcing aspect. If the only question we had to ask ourselves, if money wasn't part of the equation, if we could just ask what we actually want to do in the world, life would be a lot better.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, this has been really amazing, really fun. So Sharifah, I wanted to share, is offering a free consultation. In the show notes, I will have a link to her website. You will just submit a form and just request that you are getting a free consultation from joining the show today, and she will help you schedule that. Additionally, I'll be including her Instagram and Facebook and Twitter accounts so that you can follow her and the Roundtable Talk Show as well, which is an amazing community. You just heard they have 3 degrees of separation from anything that you need. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Thank you so much, Sharifah, for joining the show today.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say, I'll give that free consultation, whether you call me, tweet me, text me, email me, whatever it is. If you have a question, ask Sharifah.
I love that. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in or watching today. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Inspiration Contagion. Thank you for joining the show today. I hope you were inspired. More importantly, I hope you take action. What is one thing you can do in this moment that will inspire someone? Without action, nothing changes. Be the change you wish to see in the world. If this show truly inspired you, we ask that you share it through your network. Help us spread the light and inspiration in the world. I look forward to seeing you here next week.